Well, hello, everyone, and Merry Christmas. It's just that time of year where we get to celebrate all sorts of awesome things like being with family and buying people gifts and receiving gifts from people and maybe hoping that it's going to be cold enough to snuggle up next to a fireplace. Or if you're from up north, probably hoping the opposite of that, that it's going to be warm enough to not have to be next to the fireplace. Whatever the thing is that you do to engage with and celebrate this holiday season, it's important that we actually spend some time thinking about and focusing on the birth of Jesus Christ, which is, of course, what this season is meant to celebrate, the birth of Jesus Christ into this world. But if you're anything like me, this time of this part of the story is actually pretty hard to engage with. I find myself celebrating the birth of Jesus, but then not looking too closely at it because it's hard for me to actually even begin to grasp the idea that God is in the form of a baby. For me, it's easy to connect with picturing Jesus in front of me, and I'm talking to him and he's hearing me, understanding my words and speaking back. He does all of these miracles. He says these profound things. He connects with me in all sorts of ways. That's easy. I can get that. I understand that. That feels comfortable. But when I think about that same God as a baby who's just kind of there, I mean, like a newborn is not really engaging. He's just like, he can't even control his own body yet, you know? He can't see past this far. He's not functional yet. And that, Jesus didn't skip that. He didn't just like, he's born and he's an adult and there's his beard. Like, he was a baby. He was a real baby, a human baby. God chose to be in human form. And that wasn't like some half human. That was like a real human. I mean, I really do believe that Jesus couldn't hold his head up when he was a baby. He couldn't talk. He would throw up on himself after he ate. He did the baby things. And that's mind-blowing. That is really hard to conceptualize. That's hard for me to connect with. But nonetheless, it is purposeful. And as I've thought about this and prayed about this, I've begun to realize more and more how much of a display the baby Jesus Christ is as what a child looks like in their developmental process and what we as believers look like in our developmental process. You know, it's if we think about Jesus Christ as the Son of God and how much the Father loved him, it's really easy for us to think like, well, of course God loved Jesus even when he wasn't walking around proclaiming the good news as soon as he was born. You know, God loved him. He loved him throughout his process. He loved him while he was learning to walk and learning to talk and learning to go to the bathroom right and all of those things. God wasn't disappointed at him for having to go through the journey. But how many times do we actually not believe that for ourselves, that we're aware of our lack of perfection and then we think that God hates us for it, or we think that God's super disappointed because we didn't get it right yet, or we think that God couldn't possibly be pleased with me because I haven't done all the things that that other guy did, or things like that. But when you think about it in terms of a baby, I always used to love this example, this analogy of when a parent has a child, a baby that is learning to walk, and that baby takes their first steps, the parent gets so excited and celebrates. And when the baby inevitably falls down after those first couple steps, the parent doesn't sit there and go, "Oh, I knew you wouldn't get it. You failure, you fell. Get back up. I can't believe you fell." No, they're just celebrating the steps. They're not focused on the fall. Of course the baby fell. It's learning to walk. It's part of the process. We all fall. But how many of us just like beat ourselves up and condemn ourselves for falling, for not like running a marathon as soon as we took our first step? It's just not how we were built. It's not how we were created to function. And even Jesus, in his perfection, lives that out. Jesus Christ was perfect. He is perfect. And he still went through the same process of growth that we were created to go through. So I say all of that to say, during this holiday season, whenever you see the nativity scene with the little baby Jesus in the manger, I want you to think to yourself, wow, God really does give me grace in my process, in my journey. So if God himself, God the Father, was willing to give Jesus grace in his journey, and he's willing to give me grace in my journey, then I'm willing to give myself grace in my journey. And God, I really thank you for celebrating my little steps, even when I fall. Bless you guys. Have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy life with God.